I couldn't have known what the problem was, because how come I still wasn't free for over 2 decades? Literally, I couldn't be relaxed around food or my body for over 22 years. The principle of the mind that I'm going to talk about is that once a belief is created in the mind, which is often from childhood or hereditary, from inherited from lineage, from our parents and their parents before them, and from generational beliefs, and often we're not really even aware that we need to change them, because this stuff is not taught at school. This stuff is not taught in the mainstream. This stuff, it's not talked about. I believe that we get stuck because there's a time where we feel like it's working. Diets are renowned for that. Often it's harder to resolve something when you're not really the extreme, because the clients that I have with like binge eating or anorexia or extreme depression or extreme anxiety and extreme burnout, they really want to resolve it. And therefore, when they seek help, you're much closer to success, because when you seek help outside yourself, you've got somebody looking objectively at the problem. And therefore, that's probably why you have so many success stories like the hero's journey, because they literally hit rock bottom and it's like there's nowhere else to go from there. For me, it's worse when you're not close to hitting rock bottom, when you feel like that it's all right. And the easiest for me to explain this is when I was suffering from eating disorders and dieting, but I didn't think it was a problem, because every single day I would get back on my diet, or I would be good on my diet for literally maybe 2 months, and then something would happen in my life. I get really stressed out, either I have a breakup or stresses at work, I fight with my parents or whatever, life happens. And then guess what? Mel falls off the wagon and she's binging every night again, drinking every night again, and then I put on weight and I feel ashamed and I don't want to see anybody. And so I'm like that for about a week. I'm like stuffing my face and I'm feeling sorry for myself. And then I get back on the diet and then I lose the weight again. And it takes me, I don't know, like a month or two, and I'm really motivated. And then I'm fine and I'm feeling good. And then guess what? Life happens again and I'm in binging mode. And I was stuck like that. Sometimes I would be the extreme, like bulimia, and then sometimes I would just be dieting, where it's not too bad, but I get spurts of okay, and that bit where I'm okay just keeps me ticking through life. And the problem with that was that because I was resolving it on a sporadical basis and I was ticking along, I didn't notice time ticking along. It was, started off when I was 15, and then 16, 17, my 20s, my 30s, still ticking along, ticking along, ticking along. Nothing changed. I just thought that I needed to diet. It came to a point where it was just part of my life. I was just dieting. I was just trying to control myself. And it didn't even occur to me that this was not the way I really wanted life to be. I just accepted that reality. Because I never questioned it, my mind was on automatic. It was just running the old program that would influence my behaviors and actions on a daily basis. And then, because I was caught in this cycle of feast, famine, binge dieting, overweight, slim, put back on the weight, get slim. Like, it was like that for years and years. The program had created that perfectly. And therefore, I didn't even think it was like anything wrong with that. Until other parts of my life started to go wrong. Because this is why I explain to my clients, is that when we resolve the real problem, which is usually not what we think it is. With my case, I thought I had an eating problem. In my case, I thought I had no control. In my case, I couldn't see food as in just food. I had a debate, like on the menu, I'd be going, oh, which one's got the least calories? Or, oh, I really fancy that, but I should eat this. Nothing was free when it came to eating. Nothing was comfortable when it came to my clothes. Nothing felt natural when it came to eating on my body for most of my life. So when it came to the rest of my life, it affected everything. When the real problem doesn't get resolved, it's like a leak. It starts leaking into my relationships. It started leaking into money. It started leaking to my health. It started doing that. And remember what I said at the beginning of the video? I said that usually it's really better when you hit rock bottom, because we don't often try to really do anything. We assume we know what the problem is. And most people, even myself for a long time, was convinced it was the food. I was convinced it was like macros and the way that I ate or the time of the day, and I had to resolve the eating for me to have control of the eating. Or even, I know it's in my mind, I think for a long time I didn't even think it was my mind. I just thought I had no willpower. I didn't even go that far. And one of the things that I realized was I couldn't have known what the problem was, because how come I still wasn't free for over 2 decades? Literally, I couldn't be relaxed around food or my body for over 22 years. It was mind-boggling, but I was so used to it. It's like, how do you know if it's a problem if you just thought that was just normal life? Do you know what I mean? And I didn't know. When I was on the verge of having a divorce with my husband, and I was angry at my newborn baby, so I didn't realize that everything was affecting the way that I was behaving, and my business was suffering, and I prioritized getting my business off the ground, because I thought once this is sorted, then everything else would sort out, because I thought maybe the pressure of my business was affecting my relationship. That's what I thought. So I didn't even want to address the eating side, because I thought it was fine. By that time, I was just on a constant diet, and I deprived myself. I got used to dieting, and I actually convinced most people that I was allergic to pasta and I was gluten intolerant, I was lactose intolerant, so all those things, so that I would have an easy life. And then because I struggled with my business, I randomly saw this woman who was doing hypnotherapy, RTT, rapid transformational therapy, which is the very first deep cognitive healing that I learned. When I approached this woman to help me with my business, I had no idea that she was a hypnotherapist, and then I had no idea what to expect. I really did think that she was going to give me more strategies. I really thought that I was suffering in my business because of strategy problems, that I didn't know enough. But to cut the long story short, she hypnotized me. Oh my God, I thought I'd been conned. I really did think. But then what I didn't realize was she had helped me to unlock the doors for success for my business. But it wasn't the way that I expected it. It was an unfolding. It's almost like an onion. It was removing the first layers of it. I hadn't realized how asleep I was. I hadn't realized how much of the problems I had in my life that I created myself. And the first thing that went was the anger that I had with my husband. Instead of reacting all the time, I felt this sense of peace within me. Another thing happened was the realization of how I was turning into an angry parent, and a lot of guilt came in because I realized, oh my God, I was just turning into a really angry mother. And I started to see, it was almost like seeing for the first time what I was turning into, because up until then it was like I was on automatic. I was angry at everybody. And then suddenly I didn't feel the need to stick to diets. It was almost like I was satisfied. And then the true hunger came through. And it was almost like remembering how to eat. The subconscious mind will run an old program until the end of time, until the moment that we decide to look into the real cause. Because it doesn't know that the old program where I felt abandoned as a child, that emptiness that I felt when I was a child, and the fear that I had when I was being reprimanded as a child. And I'm an 80s child. Well, I was born in the 1970s, but I was hit like most kids those days. And for me, for a long time, until I had the healing almost 8 years ago, I thought it was normal. I just thought that that's just one of those things as being a child. Everyone got hit. I'm fine. For ages, I thought I turned out all right, but I didn't really see that I was defensive. I was angry. I blamed everybody. I was bitchy. I was slagging people off. I didn't like it when people didn't agree with me. I was really feisty, and I was really proud of being feisty. I was really proud of, like, these days I've got a word for it. Oh, I'm just cancelling her. I've had enough of her. I was really proud of being like that. So up until then, the subconscious mind was creating the behaviors I had because it was looking to heal itself. But because I kept on reacting, I kept on binging instead of addressing why I was binge eating, instead of the subconscious mind realizing that's not the program that I want anymore. it was just creating another program on top. It was creating, when Mel feels lonely, binge. Okay, boop, 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 boop. That's a program in Mel's subconscious mind. When somebody doesn't agree with her, doot, 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 lash out, get angry, and then binge. The subconscious mind always wants to help. And it's the quickest way to resolve any of our problems, because it knows the answer to resolve it, because at the end of the day, it was the one that created everything. Our subconscious mind created us in our mother's wombs. It created the behaviors we have, and our emotions often drilled to us as a bad thing. Like, unless you're happy, then all the other emotions seems to have like a second value. It's like, you're not allowed to be angry, you're not allowed to feel sad, you're not allowed to cry, you're not allowed to be too excited. It just seems like as long as you're not even happy, sometimes like some people say, oh, you're too happy, as long as you're behaving the way other people feel, then we've kind of programmed ourselves to numb our emotions. And that's one of the biggest things that actually holds us back. Emotions are our direct access to resolving every single problem that we have. Often when we've resolved our problems, the other side of that is the success, is the stepping stones to what we really want in life. And often they don't even need to be resolved. It just needs to have awareness, because with awareness, we can consciously tell the subconscious mind that it's no longer valid, and therefore that affects our actions afterwards. So if I knew on a conscious level that it had to do with it, like my abandonment, and then I'm able to communicate with my subconscious mind and tell myself that's no longer valid, that then stops and breaks that chain. Because often it's not the strategies, it's not the knowledge, it's not what you're doing wrong, it's because the subconscious mind hasn't been acknowledged. And as soon as it's acknowledged, you'll start to feel different. And when you start to feel different, the actions that you do will be impacted or will change. And when you take different actions, guess what? Our reality starts taking a different fork. And that, my friend, is the stepping stones to manifesting the life of our dreams.